Complete and utter joy. Well, it's fascinating to me as here we are in the 35th year of the Turtles. The 35th anniversary is this year, and when I was very young, I loved comic books. I grew up in a very small town, and I loved writing and drawing and telling my own stories because it allowed me to go anywhere my mind, my imagination would take me. And so, as I grew as an artist and a storyteller and a writer, and met Peter Laird, and together we shared the same dream of becoming someone like our hero was an artist named Jack Kirby, which I'm sure you know from the Marvel Universe. Our dream was to become Jack Kirby. So, but we always had the dream, but we never believed we'd actually achieve that dream. But still, we worked very hard. We worked hard to get better, to tell better stories, to do things. And so, what the Turtles mean to me as far as such an incredible blessing that it was the creation of those characters that allowed me to spend, most of my life now drawing and telling comic stories with characters I love very, very much, very, very passionate. So I feel so blessed. The creating process was very organic in that it was kind of started as a silly idea that evolved into a more silly yet serious idea. And what I mean by is I was a huge fan of Bruce Lee as a martial artist. And as a joke, I was thinking, if Bruce Lee was an animal, what would be the silliest animal he would be? So I'm thinking, fast-moving martial artist, slow-moving turtle. It was a natural joke and very funny. And so, Peter laughed, we both laughed, and from that spark, we did some redesigns, and then we came up with the idea of one, why not four? Yeah. So we did a sketch of all four turtles in this martial arts pose, and it's something that we love very much, and then made us laugh like crazy. And so we said, this is so silly, but we love it so much. Let's try to come up with a story that tells how these characters became the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And so the drawing was done in 1983, and we worked for the next 5 months and then published the first comic in May of 1984. It's interesting because I feel like when you write those characters, whether it's Michelangelo or Leonardo or Donatello or Raphael, there's always a little piece of you in each of them, because we like to be funny sometimes, like Michelangelo. Sometimes we're angry and very serious, like Raphael, or sometimes we want to be the leader, like Leonardo. Or so there's always some of that of you in all of them. But then the best part is you can then fictionalize and add a little bit of you, a little bit of Robin Williams, a little bit of comedians into Michelangelo and make him a bigger and stronger character. Or with Leonardo, perhaps it's a leader like all I can think of is Luke Skywalker, but it's not. More of a Obi-Wan Kenobi, or more of a leader type burner. So I think this it's wonderful because in our world of movies and cartoons and books and TV, we can pull from so many resources and blend them into our own creation and claim them as our own. But I think it's hard to be an original.
Yes.
So we have to steal from everywhere. Well, I'm very lucky that my environment or my studio is, I think, what is lucky for many artists, especially, well, let me rephrase that. I feel like I'm very lucky as an artist that my studio is in my home.
Okay.
So I have my wife and our son, and we have 3 little dogs running around and 2 cats and things. But it's a comfortable environment to be part of the family, but still have a room that you can sort of create and be part of everything. Because as an artist, sometimes it can be a very solitary job, very solitary existence that you see, staying up late at night and
Yes.
nobody's around, drawing and you're drawing and you're drawing. And there is definitely an element of that. I get up early sometimes, I stay up late sometimes if I'm on deadline, but I'm very lucky that my best experience right now is to be around life and activity and be part of my family and still be able to create gives me the most happiness. Oh no, it's a great question because it's very similar in that the company that we created the Turtles under was called Mirage Studios, and it was a mirage, a mirage in the desert because it wasn't a studio; it was our living room.
In Peter's house, no?
Yeah, exactly. It was so Peter and his wife had rented a house, and they had a room available. So I rented a room from them, and so our living room was our studio. And so our living room was our Mirage Studios, and so it was, right there was the kitchen, and right there was the restroom, and so we could work any time of day and night. So that was the best environment, and probably why I like the environment I have today, because it's my home too. It was for the first comic especially, it was a great sense of accomplishment because both Peter and I both write and draw. So we would write and draw our own stories. And I would do a 4-page story, or he would do a 6-page story. We were working on other smaller stories, but together we felt strong enough to take on such a large story with the Turtles. It was 40 pages. So it was a massive amount of work that was something we would never imagine doing on our own. So when it was done and you look at the accomplishment, it was like building a house by yourself. It was a task that was so overwhelming that you can't believe you accomplished it. So it was a great sense of satisfaction. And even back in those days, we didn't think we'd find an audience for our book or our characters. So the satisfaction was all for us. We were so pleased that we set ourselves up with such a large goal and then accomplished that goal. Even if no one else saw it, we did it, and that was what made us so proud.
Yeah.
I guess my dreams and the future and the things that I want to work on, it's like it's very interesting because I feel like I'm lucky to be here in the first place. That I've spent so much time evolving and creating and doing so many things with the Turtles, but I'm also doing other original ideas. I have some kids projects, and I have some science fiction projects, and some other things I'm working on. And some things I publish, some things I'm going to publish, but it's always, I think, as an artist, the most important thing is to always feel like you continue to learn and grow, because the minute you the minute you think you know everything, then you stop learning, and that's a problem. So as much as you can be open to ideas and experiences and knowledge and becoming better at what you do, then you will always grow and pursue, that'll help you pursue your dreams of creativity.